So welcome to Season 5 of the Dobfather. Yes, it's the campaign after the season before. We went into that final day of last season with a chance of being champions if we just picked up a point. But you know who went tactical tinkering and it all imploded. And now we've got a tough task on our hands because we've had to try and navigate a very tricky start to the new campaign. So we've got the new season up and running a little bit. We've played 6 games of our league campaign, as well as a little jaunt into Europe as well. We'll show you everything that's happened in a moment. But here we sit, 5th place in the table, 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 defeats as well. Far from disastrous, but we're already 6 points behind Copa at the top of the table. And I fear that the big guns might be a bit more dangerous this season than they were last. But let's get this new season underway, shall we? It's the start of the 2026-27 season. And the board have made a little progress with our new stadium. They've now announced that they've got a site for our new 4,943 capacity arena. And there's more good news because the board have finally cottoned on to the fact that we're trying to develop our own youngsters by adding the board culture of developing players using the club's youth system. We ended the season with a little bit of money in the bank, so we asked the board to improve our youth recruitment. And after an initial rejection, we stormed into the boardroom. And that old infectious ambition got our way, and we've now improved that element of the club, which improves our youth recruitment from excellent all the way up to exceptional. So off the field, it's looking encouraging with average training facilities, adequate youth facilities, adequate academy coaching, and that exceptional youth recruitment, plus a new stadium that is just 12 months away from being completed. Our success on the field last campaign led 3 of our players to be named in the team of the season, including, controversially, goalkeeper Žiga Firmashek and, disappointingly, our departing left-back Ivan Makavets. But we would have to press on without Makavets, who ran down his contract before moving to a club in Croatia. So we had to prepare for the new season without him, and we were drawn in the Europa Conference League against Northern Irish outfit Larne, who we were able to absolutely breeze past, beating them 6-1 in the first leg and 3-0 in the second. That aggregate victory set up a tie against Kazakhstan side Kairat in the next round. And when we beat them 4-0 in the first leg, I was so confident of victory that I was able to field a second choice 11 for the second leg. I was unconcerned when our opponents pulled a goal back after 5 minutes. But I sat up and took notice as they pulled a second goal back after just 8 minutes, making it 4-2 on aggregate. And when they made it 4-3 with just half an hour played, I could not get the first team players off the bench fast enough. Those victories set up a next round tie with Olympiacos, but also brought more money into the club. So I went asking the board for developments once more. They refused to improve our junior coaching, but they were prepared to shell out 1.5 million, upgrading the training facilities once more. But we also had a domestic campaign to prepare for as well, where Matija Kaučić was being branded as a possible player of the season, and there were whispers that young Martin Ivacic might also be the young player of the year. But we've been having to fend off bids for him as Maribor chase his signature. Now, being runners-up last season did feel disappointing, but having started the campaign as 2,000-1 shots, I guess it must be branded a success. And our odds have been slashed this season to just 450-1, and there's even a team below us, as newly promoted Alumini are expected to struggle. And struggle they most certainly are at the moment, as they are bottom of the table, and they are the club that we brought you back to face today. But before we even worry about our 7th game of the campaign, I think we need to update you on what else has been happening since the start of the season, including that European knockout game against Greece's Olympiacos. As soon as we were drawn against the Greek giants, I thought that was us as much of out of the competition. But in the home leg, Christian Šipek put us into the lead. But normal order was soon restored as Olympiacos drew level with Patrick Catrone heading one into the corner of the net. Now, I expected Olympiacos to go on and score a boatload of goals, but we retook the lead on 18 minutes through dirty Denis Valencic. And I nearly fell off my chair when in the 28th minute the same player scored a third. I was dreaming of an unlikely qualification for the next round of the competition, but on the 82nd minute mark, Olympiacos curled home a second for them, and in the 88th minute they were awarded a penalty which would have drawn them level. But Firmashek saved it. But we still couldn't hold on for what would have been the greatest victory in our time with Dob as they equalised in the 93rd minute. And although that draw is respectable, I didn't give us much hope of going out to Greece and actually securing a result, but Dirty Dennis had other ideas. The hitman put us 4-3 up on aggregate, 1-0 on the night, and shortly before half-time we got unlucky as Dennis raced through again, but this time, unfortunately, his effort was chalked off for offside. But 2 minutes after the interval, the unthinkable happened as Dennis went through one-on-one and gave us a 2-goal cushion in the tie. But Tristan Tiegler almost single-handedly put paid to that when he managed to get himself sent off on the 58-minute mark. And Olympiacos duly pulled it back to 5-4 on aggregate. On 80 minutes, our left-back Krishnik decided that playing with 10 men was making things far too easy against an opponent that were clearly superior to us, so he decided to slide in and bring us down to 9 men. Now, playing 9 against 11 was tough, but amazingly we managed to navigate the game to injury time until the 95th minute, when we gave away a free kick on the edge of the box. And you can probably guess what happened. That equalising goal on the night also tied the scores on aggregate, taking the game to extra time, where we survived the first period comfortably. But with just 4 minutes to go until penalties, Olympiacos broke our hearts as the game finished 3-2 and Olympiacos progressed 6-5 on aggregate. Now, there's never any shame of a club our size losing to Olympiacos, but to have got so close just broke my heart a second time, and it had not healed from losing the title on the last day of the season to Domžale. But we've also been playing league games as well. And how about this for a kick in the chops? On the opening day of the new domestic campaign, we were paired with the team that stole the title out of our grasp on the last day of last season. Now remember, last campaign we lost 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 and 4-0 to them. And this season, on the opening day, we beat them 1-0. If we could have just done that on the last day of last season, this save would be complete. I would have guided plucky little Dob to the top division, won them the cup and the league. All will have been completed. Instead, well, we saved the 1-0 victory for when it was not quite so important. It did at least get us off to a good start to this season, but the rest of the campaign hasn't been great as we've struggled to balance European football with playing domestic fixtures as well. The next game was a 1-1 draw against Copa. That was pretty good, but then we lost 1-0 to Bravo, 2-0 to Olympia, before we decided to just try and pep things up a little bit with a new formation, which allowed us to beat Telia 3-0 and draw 0-0 with Triglav in the last game. 2 clean sheets in the last 2 appearances. That's been much needed. But today, we go into a game against Aluminium, where we'd like to try and get our league campaign back on the right track if we can. But before we get out there and play a fixture, we are celebrating because we are welcoming not 1, 2, 3, or even 4 new channel members. 5 of you lovely people have found that little join button that sits below me, and we now have a total of 22 of you, as well as all of those beautiful patrons that are rolling up the screen now. We're going to try and say thank you to the whole lot of you with a win in today's game, but in particular, we're welcoming our new channel members. There's so many, forgive me, I'm going to have to read them out. We've got a Cam of all trades, Pedro Vieck, Sandor Clegane, can't remember whether that's the Hound, or the Mountain. We've also got the Garodi Gamer 92. That could be the Girodi Gamer 92. Hard G, Soft G. I'm not entirely sure. As well as AM13. We are now just 3 short of having a quarter of a century of channel members. We're going to thank everybody for their generosity by trying to win today. And here is the groundbreaking system we're going to use to try and do that. Now, you're asking yourself, is this exactly the same system that we were playing when we got promoted in Season 1 of the Dobfather? It is absolutely not. Then you're asking yourself, is it the same system you played in Season 2 when you won the cup with Dob? It is absolutely, well, it's very, very similar, I'll be honest. It's a 4-3-3, I just didn't feel we had the players to play a 4-4-2 very effectively because we've lost two players that were playing down the left-hand side for us last season because both of them let their contract expire and then left on a free. So instead, we're playing a 4-3-3. We've not been playing this all season, by the way. I've tried to shoehorn the players into a 4-4-1-1 because young Martin Ivicic can play as an attacking midfielder, and he'd been playing there pretty well, but we'd started to pick up some poor results even though his performances were good. So I've had to have a little think about how I could change things around. And so for the next couple of games, we're going with this system here. I'm not sure that this is what we're settled on for the entire season, but it's what we've used to just bring ourselves out of a little slump. The more defensive 4-4-1-1 was working very well against the bigger teams, particularly against Olympiacos, by the way, but was not working so well in the domestic season. So I think we're going to need something with a little bit more attacking pep in order to try and nurse us through this campaign. At least the bonus of being out of Europe now is that we're not going to have so many games, because although the squad is big enough with all the youth development players that we've had coming through, very few of them are first team ready. One of them that probably is Martin Puchko. He's training very well. He's performing okay as well, but he does get tired very easily, bless him. So we've had to be giving some time to Matthias Schalaman, who's not developing very well, and I'm not sure is ever really going to be the answer, but he's our best backup centre-back. And I think our real problem is at left full-back, where we have no backups for Matthias Krishnik, himself just a backup player for the first 4 seasons of Dobfather, and I'm not sure he really has the ability to be a top-level player either, but he's the best that we've got at the moment, and worryingly, we do not have any left-backs of any promise coming through. So who's going to play there long-term? I'm not entirely sure. We've called up very recently Alan Seifer to the first-team squad. He's not made his debut yet, but he's recently turned 17, and I'd like to give him some matches before the end of the season, because I think as already a player good enough to play in the division below, by the time he's 18, 19, he could be replacing Firmashek as our first choice goalkeeper. The other youth player that is performing very well for us is Dirty Dennis. 6 goals in 5 European appearances and 3 in 6 in the league is by far his best start to a campaign, and we'd like him to continue that today. And I think he's benefiting from playing as an advance forward rather than a target forward, and because of his height, I'd assume that he could be a physical presence up top for us, but without being able to see his physical attributes, I might have misread that slightly. He certainly seems to perform better with a more mobile role up front for us, and that is what he is going to use today. It means that in midfield, we are reuniting Kaučić, Tigler and Kasnic, but we're expecting the wheels to come off the young Kaučić any day now. We're getting close to the transfer window. Bundesliga side Jan Regensburg are also interested in his services. He almost had a full meltdown last season when Verona came in for him. If Regensburg come in and make an offer and I turn it down, I think he's going to bring the whole house of cards crashing down. Such is going to be the level of his fury, and I think that's something we're just going to have to deal with unless the bid they make is stunning. So let's show you the first game that you've seen from us this season, and let's see how this 4-3-3 plays as we go out to take on the side that are bottom of the table in the form of Alumni. So now that we're out of Europe, there aren't really any excuses this season. We can completely concentrate on the league. We were able to come runners-up last season, so close, just 45 minutes away from winning the title. I'd like to finish in the top 4 this season again if we can, and qualify for Europe once more. Early on in this game, we've gone close. Kasnic has had the ball fall to his feet in the box. He was unable to capitalise on the chance, and 20 minutes in, there's been just one shot in this game. We have had it, but we're not doing an awful lot, are we? We're racing towards the half-an-hour mark, and we've not threatened a club who already look like they're going to be in a relegation battle for much of this season. Šípek heads over, 3 efforts now. We've not worked their goalkeeper. And now we've got to try and build up play from the back. It would be a great time to score, I think, on the 33-minute mark as Šípek drifts inside, plays it into midfield. Kasnic sets up Dirty Dennis. He's gone very, very wide. Now he's checked back and given it to Gregorín. And then he gives the ball to Kasnic. And that was very, very limp. And now would be a terrible time to concede a goal as Aluminii have a free kick. We defended it well. Kasnic is on the break. He feeds Valencic. And could we exact our revenge on Aluminii for thwarting us earlier in the game by scoring now as Kasnic gets into the box? One of the reasons, by the way, I've switched back to a 3-man midfield was because Jaka Kasnic was so much more effective as a central midfielder on attack than he was as a box-to-box midfielder or a central midfielder on support. And there he finds himself in the area once more. It's a clumsy finish. He side-footed it into the corner of the net. Looks like he's got his feet mixed up a little to me, but it's given us a vital goal as we score against Aluminii. I didn't get carried away with the praise at half-time. I actually decided to tell the players that their shooting had been pretty appalling because that Kasnic effort was our only shot on target. Kasnic and Tigla are both playing well in central midfield, but further forward, well, our mate Dirty Dennis Valencic is not doing too well. At the back, I guess we're a little bit more secure, but I think we need a second goal in this game. Šípek tries to put a bit of pressure on their back line. He can't win the ball, and instead, they've played it behind our defence. We had a man-goal side who decided to run in front of the player and then let him in behind. Classic FM23 animations there. We've got away with it, and now Gregorín brings the ball forward for us. He's well marshalled, but finds Valencic, who's pulled out wide. Kasnic is in the box once more. We've got men over. Šípek is that man. He has an effort that comes off the defender and deflects behind. We should have a corner, and we might be able to do something from these because we've been pretty effective from set plays so far this season. Kaučet swings it in. Pucho has an effort. Their goalkeeper manages to save it, but we're playing a little bit better now. And on 65 minutes, I think we might make some substitutions, get some fresh legs on the pitch. Will we still be in the lead by that stage? Well, we might, but only just as they have a header from a corner of their own just over the bar. I think it's time to call for the cavalry. So the back four are not doing great, but we don't really have the options on the bench to bring on for them, and the front three aren't doing well either, and we at least have some backup players that we can bring in to replace them. So we're going to take Dirty Dennis off for Martin Ivacic, and we're also going to bring Gajic on for Christian Šípek. If Gregorín doesn't improve his performance, he could always make way as well because Nets Levec can also play over on the left wing. But we'll just make those 2 changes for now as we go in search of this important second goal. Aluminii haven't threatened much according to the XG, but it's not like we've been that effective either, and we could get sucker punched if we're not careful in this game. So Tigla feeds the ball to Kaučic as we try and find that all-important second goal. Kasnic decides to pass it back to their defence and then turn around and run away. Fortunately, we've won possession of the ball back again and the space in behind their defence. And here goes Kasnic bursting forward from midfield. And Ivacic gets on the end of it, but that's a disappointing effort all by itself. And we're going to have to do something more from the corner. Kaučic going to be an in-swinger. Is it going to be one of his far posters or one to the near post? He's gone near post. Pucho runs in, and it's another one that comes to nothing. We're approaching the final 5 minutes of the game now, and we are desperately short of highlights, and we're also desperately short of quality performances out on the pitch. This new formation seems to suit the midfielders. I guess our left back and our centre half have recovered a little bit, and Firmashek has played well. And I guess I'm being a little bit harsh on the back four because Zidane and Puško have both got a 6.9. Performance-wise, that's probably not a disaster, but we didn't really create very many good chances. And against better sides, I fear we might get punished. But that does at least mean we are 3 games undefeated, and that's 7 points from a possible 9 in that time, and we're up to 4th place in the league. And although the top 2 might have games in hand, we are not out of the running for the title this season. We're going to go away and play all the way up to the winter break, and when we come back, we'll see what kind of season this is developing into in Season 5 of the Dobfather.